Hey, everybody. Welcome to Keep It Spiritually Simple. I'm your host, Sandra McGellis. And before I introduce our beautiful guest, I'd like for each of you to hit the like, subscribe, and share button so you don't miss any of these upcoming episodes. And you know that all my lineup is intuitively based. All my guests come on and we just bounce. So let's just take a nice deep breath and get on with this show. So, this is my friend, Ashira Lavine. And, it's one of those things where it's like you meet somebody and you know instantly you're going to be friends, right? And then you stay friends for a number of years and then you find out shit about them. And then you're like, what the hell is this all about? Like, for example, Ashira reads people for a living. Her career includes special agent criminal investigator to the federal government, Deputy Director of Emergency Preparedness and Response, a world champion poker player, that I did know, an undefeated competitive martial arts fighter, didn't know, yoga meditation teacher, energy worker, professional breath worker, trauma resolution body worker, and she reads body language physically and energetically and emotionally, and also the micro expressions of someone's face and verbal and written language. Some of this I kind of knew, some of this I didn't know, but it's just sort of like, can I touch her? She's so amazing. And if you guys ever have an opportunity to be in the Washington, D.C. area and have a session with her, it is going to be amazing. It's going to blow your socks off. So we'll have all those links in the description down below. But I want to welcome Ashira Lavine. Hey, girlfriend. How are you?
Hi, Sandy. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You didn't know I was going to lead with all that, did you?
I'm glad you did. I get so shy about it, and so I appreciate you taking the lead on it.
Of course, of course. Well, when we talk about ourselves, it's not always easy because I think when we go through life, especially when we're spiritually evolved, that the ego doesn't let us talk about ourselves much because it looks like our ego is talking, right? And so when we're really truly in tune and connected, all that other stuff, certifications, all these other things that go on fall by the wayside. However, I think some of it has to be acknowledged because we go through all these things we call JOBs and getting to higher levels of education and certifications and things that only enhance where we are in this moment, in this platform that we call our life in the now. And I think all of these attribute to how you got to where you are in this moment and what you do full time in this moment. So every one of these positions added to your toolbox to enhance your energetic antenna, right? You snatch up
Yeah.
that information.
I mean, originally I was just doing my typical type A personality thing and just trying to learn and heal myself from my own traumas like as expeditiously as possible. And then just all of the freedom that I got in my mind and my body, from so many like permanent conditions that went away. And I just felt compelled to help show people the way, like hand them, show them how they could have the keys to unlock their own, self-imposed prison, or free themselves from the ties that bind, and could be mental or physical or psychological, spiritual. And I did that instead of like going into body language, facial coding, consulting, which was originally what I thought I would do when I left the government. But I'm a pretty heart centered person, and and even more of an empath than I might like to be sometimes. So it's definitely helped me with being able to feel into others and support them on their journey, because a lot of times I'm not even it's I'm reading them as like, are they speaking their own truth? So I mean, I'm talking back to them almost like their higher selves. They'll say something and I'm like, I don't really think they're believing what they're saying right now. And so I will come back to them to help them kind of see or get to the truth of whatever it is that is stressing them or ailing them. And it feels quite personally fulfilling to do that. Like I'm giving back something that's meaningful in the long run, that helps elevate all of us. That helps if we can get closer to our heart, whether it's through more comfort in the body or getting rid of false beliefs, then we are better, we treat others better, and we're all better, you know. And so I don't mean to be cliche, but
No, I think you're right on point because it's so true. And we're only one person at a time. We can only work with our own emotional components and the dark sides and the light sides and get them to be copacetic. And the more we tune into that, the more we get to the higher corridors of homeostasis, I would think, and the better we are as a human in the situations that we're in. But we can only do it one person at a time. But I want to clarify, this is sort of the things that you do when you're in session. So even
Mhm.
though Ashira is trained and all that stuff, she was innately like this as a kid. I'm like that too. And I've had people say to me just at a cocktail party, "You scare the shit out of me, Sandy." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Well, I just know
Oh
that
yeah.
I know you can read people. I know that you're really highly intuitive. And I go, I'm more or less reading the room and and reading the information just for information, right? I find that a lot that's enthusiastic reading for me, but I'm not reading it like I'm going to go in and fix anybody or change something, or I'm going in there with a microscope. I'm more or less reading where does the room harmonize, who's in their artificial superficial ego, and yet their mouth is going this way, right? So I mean, I get all of that. So would you say that you're mostly doing that within your sessions, and then when you're out in general population, so to speak, you're just sort of reading it because it's fun to play with?
Yeah. I mean, one question I was going to ask you, and then I'll continue with that, is does that kind of inform how you're engaging with people? Like when you're in those situations and you're picking up on that kind of collective energy? Is
Hmm.
that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
And then that's informing how you engage.
it does. It does affect how I engage, and I think the more I'm in tune and authentic with who I am, the less superficial conversations I can even stand in front of. I'll do my best to work through it. But if I can, I exit stage left immediately because I really truly want to be around people who are of higher calibration. And the rest of it's just freaking boring to me because it's like, go grow up, go find yourself. Because obviously you don't know yourself. You're living in a program, and so I don't relate to it as well. And honestly, truly, when you're you yourself or more authentic, you see through what I would call the untruth, as many would call the lie. And I have very little tolerance for it.
Yeah. So you're actually talking about people like who I would choose to be my client or not. So uh if somebody wants to work with me, kind of part of the requirement for that is they've got to really be seriously dedicated to the change that they're saying they desire, the transformation, and the willingness to go through what you and I and anybody listening who has done any sort of serious committed personal growth, like it can be quite painful. And so there's got to be a certain level of dedication, so you're not just like at session 4 and like I'm out, like being willing to commit. And because I feel like I meet somebody, I get a sense about them and what it's going to take to help them get where they want to go or feel how they want to feel. And if they're willing to put skin in the skin in the game, I can help them get there. And it's a passion. I'd say that's a passion of mine. Like somebody wants something that's going to help them have a better life, like let's go, you know.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
think also with that attitude and that higher level of consciousness, we have a tendency to be able to weed through and pick and choose who's going to become a client, because we could have all the clients we want and only get them to level 1.5, and we know that they're going to stop at 1.5 and they're not going to want to go any further. I get a better kick, and I think you do too, with the ones that we know we can take them a little bit further. So if you're in it to win it, and you got to be committed. So there's an inner strength and a courage and a vulnerability to surrender to that. And I was thinking about that this morning when I was in Pilates and I was doing a stretch, a hamstring stretch. And then we had to move the leg to the right or whatever, which really pulled on the IT bands. And as much as I wanted to kick that thing off of me and say, oh my God, that's too tough, I can't, I kept saying, I'm in this to stretch, to elongate, to expand. I'm just going to hold it as long as I can and release the tension throughout the rest of my body and breathe into this so I can have a goal of maybe longer next time. And I think those are the kinds of clients that, we get the better kick out of, especially you.
well, I think you also, no matter who you are, you tend to draw, like, especially the further you get in your work, you tend to draw uh, people who are on have similar personalities, drives, on your same paths, similar levels of motivation, and so I mean, I would say that my the gamut of clients I drew was quite wide in the beginning, and then it seems like it's honed. So um it's a it almost feels like cheating working with somebody who is coming in and you're like, oh, I know what they're talking about. I just cleared that a couple of years ago. And sometimes it's even a couple days or a few hours ago. You're like, whew, just in time, you know what I mean? But it's not unusual for, over the decade plus that I've been working with people, for somebody to come in and I'm like just barely ahead of them on succeeding in whatever they're looking to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, that's when it starts to feel quite spiritually like the hand of God or the universe or spirit is just like reaching in and assisting with this because of how often the timing of someone showing up, a client showing up, someone's needs, and where you are in your own life with that is pretty ironic, amazing, and serendipitous.
Oh, very much so. I agree with you there too. And and then the deeper dives that you do, sometimes that baseline of clients narrows, because not everybody's in that space. But if you've personally experienced something, whether it was years ago or just recently, I think the universe purposely lands them in front of you to see that other people are on the same platform and reaching to get beyond this invisible obstacle, you know? And so it's like the universe brings you together because you've had a little teaser of that yourself. And now you're able to kind of hone into the other skills that you have and take it to a deeper level, not just for them, but for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's a natural graduation to keep growing, and a responsibility of us to keep growing as a teacher, as a healer. Just like in certain professional industries where you've got to have your continuing education. I think that that's us, having integrity and commitment with our work to continue to do our own personal growth as we are on this path, and as we work with people, we've got to keep a check on ourselves, and keep that commitment to ourselves and our self-care, which is one of the most critical aspects. I would say that when I look at certain folks in the industry, a big thing to me about whether or not I want to work with somebody a lot of times is, you know, how are they taking care of themselves, and are they coming in like, I don't want to go to somebody and then feel like I got to clear my energy afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want somebody to be taking care of themselves and prioritizing that before coming in, so that I know that, just like you're being with me now, you're fully present, you're listening, you're receiving, you're giving, and that takes a certain amount of mindfulness in your personal life in order to do that. Like listening is a practice, holding space is a practice, communication is a skill, you know.
It is. It's so true. And I think, when Spirit had me start all of this, the YouTube and going into podcasting, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I can't compete or be as good because I'm not technically inclined or skilled to do all this good stuff that, gives the poster and the pictures and all these things to lure somebody in. Spirit told me I was supposed to be the opposite of that. I was supposed to like not read websites and meet people for where they are, because most listeners are doing the exact same thing. They want to hear the real authentic truth without a lot of rehearsal, you know.
Mhm.
So tell me, what are some of the humps and bumps you've had to go through um to get to where you are in this moment? Meaning, has anything about this spiritual journey, because it really has been a spiritual journey that we have to live in the 3D in a physical way, um, do you feel like there's been any challenges instead of working a typical 9 to 5 like most people do? Do you feel like there's been any challenges in that part of this journey, um, to be more in tune and to attain higher levels of consciousness and be around those that have that and have a clientele of that?
Yeah. So I would say that one of the biggest aspects, one of the biggest challenges is you're guided towards and you're doing spiritual work with people, and you have a business. And for most of my years, I've had a brick and mortar. So then there's just all the aspects to that can be involved in having a small business, with maintaining simple things like more simple things like maintaining licensure, certification, certain things with the state. I've done things to make my life easier over the years by getting a bookkeeper in addition to my accountant, and using certain budgeting apps to organize my funds. And one of the things I never really got into, and you can call it resistance or laziness or whatever, had to do with marketing, which I've never really done, like use social media or anything like that. I've just mostly used word of mouth over the last decade, and it's um and prayer. Like, okay, I'm ready, please send me,
Yeah.
because it's one of the challenges is, I will things will be great, but then I'll have, a half dozen or so clients, or sometimes a little less even, who are taking up a larger space of my clientele. Like 30% of my clients could be taking up 50, 60, even 70% of my time. And then when one or multiple clients complete at the same time, because my purpose is not to work with people forever. It's like, okay, let's get them where they want to be. And, God bless you, good luck. And they're ready to go, So it's it's those ups and downs where there's the transition, and it's the next round coming in, and then there's the typical stressors that can happen when you have those kinds of waves financially in your business, and then being able to maintain that cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like when I was with the government and, high level making danger pay, and like didn't really, just had sort of my standard bills. This is work that, where you're less likely to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars without having classes and other platforms, and larger teams. Or maybe if you had an office and you had multiple people who did what you did, and then you're getting a percentage of those. I mean, those are places where you can expand. But I don't know how. I haven't met that many people in this business who are both of like doing the focused healing work, who are also like, oh, I love the business aspect. Like, bring me in. Like, what paperwork does the state need? I'm on that. It's a thing a lot. So I've tried to, hire people to do parts that I don't want to do. And sometimes I've got to be more thrifty if I'm in one of those lulls, you know what I mean? So I would say that just the aspects of having to kind of brain switch from the sort of nonverbal, heart centered space that you're working in, and you're guiding meditation and breath work. And then you're like, okay, let me go check my numbers and send out these monies, or these newsletters, or this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of moving parts to be one person, or even a small team. Even when I've had like a few people working, with or for me, it's just that's that's a feels like the biggest speed bump, I'd
Well,
say.
I have to say, I have to applaud you on your integrity, and quality versus quantity. So when you see your book of business and you're diving into it, you can see the progression of that client. And you know that eventually they're gonna need to leave that nest. They can come back for tune-ups if they need to, but they can't be a career client and excel and graduate from what it is they started coming to you for. I mean, I've seen people, counselors who have the same book of business day in and day out with very few new people. And what does that say about them? Hey, well, what's your counseling effect here? It's kind of low, right? I mean, we want to see that, but yeah, I get it. When we have to bounce from spiritual, woo, and then, oh gosh, I got CEUs and I got to do my newsletter, and then I got to return all these phone calls, and then I got to go pay the lease, and then, payroll or whatever it is. It isn't fun. It isn't fun. And also, I think you're one of the exceptions to the rule, I would say, who's number one, highly intelligent and still very, very right brained. You know what I mean? I can't
Thanks.
say that
Yeah.
about many people. I feel like I bounce well, but I don't. I think my IQ is more of spiritual IQ or road traveled IQ. I think if I had to take an aptitude test, I barely would get out of third grade at this point. But I feel like you have a very, a nice high IQ. So you have this left brain part of you, and then this, right brain about you. And
Um,
I know that the left brain stuff you need to delegate because it just drains you the higher you go on these levels of spiritual endeavors, and wanting to know more about yourself and how your relationship is with the world. The more I would go left brain, the more I want to run like hell.
yeah, I mean, I appreciate all that, and thanks for your um compliments there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I probably at least test fourth grade, I hope. But um but it's true.
Don't go
It's too.
bragging.
uh, that was my ego got all involved there. It was like, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna go to fourth grade. So the like it's the same sort of thing like when I work with like when I worked with like black ops, military, or law enforcement or whatever. I mean, you will not hear me saying woo woo stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's a different audience. It's a different vibe. And there are certain personalities that come to see me where I'm like in the box. I mean, I had some bigwig from a hedge fund who was not a spiritual person, and they were just receiving like some body work from me, and I invited them to do just some real calming breathing with it, and they had a wild experience, and they were like, I just saw the father of my babysitter is going to pass away soon. Like, and he was like, what's going on? And I had another, I remember some litigating attorney from downtown that kind of the same thing. And one day I forget even the work we were doing now. It's probably, I think it was like a combination of meditation and body work. And he's like just saw like some previous life of him in Egypt. And he's kind of mind blowing to these people because they are definitely not thinking that this stuff's even a possibility. And then when it happens to you and it happens in a way that is like very clear and undeniable, it all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, what is this? What is possible? What is happening? And that even happened to me. Like, I wasn't a believer. I was such a even I still doubt stuff. I still doubt stuff, but I've been doing this over 10 years now. So when I see this magic happen again and again, it just becomes undeniable. The number of people who set an intention before a breathwork session, and then that, to heal a relationship with a parent that has been strained for decades, or, wanting to reconnect or establish, like have a relationship or bring some sort of abundance in their life. Like the number of times I've seen people have the intention and asking for what they want, doing the breathe, and then the speed with which that can manifest. I mean, I mean, I don't know how many people I've seen now, um, hundreds or thousands, but it's it's like the doubt stops when you communicate something and the person on the table says, that's exactly what I was just thinking about. And when you hear that happen again and again, or I'm working with somebody remotely and I'm imagining kind of holding them in some sort of healing liquid light, and they're like, I feel like I'm like it being held in a bath, and so even my uh what do you call someone who doubts again, like that, whatever.
Suspicious,
Mm,
um,
like
doubting
a
Thomas,
non-believer, whatever, a
non-believer.
non-believer,
Okay.
that it starts to, you start to kind of let that go. It just becomes undeniable after a period of time.
Yeah, and every time it happens, it blows your mind.
Yeah.
I don't
Everyone's
know
like
why
the
we're so surprised. We're like, we go into
No.
this logical mind of like, I need to talk to someone about this because this is really weird. Yet
Yeah.
it's so next level that it's hard to explain. Well, I think that's, although, sessions are amazing over Zoom, but that in-person stuff is, you're doing what I would call this intermingling, this convergence of energies together. You're merging and becoming one with the higher self, the higher guide team, the higher spiritual agenda, and you're getting away from more the physical agenda. So when you see that morph into something someone's saying, like you're visualizing, an energy bath, or this cool golden silky liquid, around this person, and then they're saying, I feel like I'm in a bath, and then you're like, oh, this is going, we're converging, this is great, because it's such amazing feedback, right? And it
Yeah.
just lets you know that you're in a quantum, beyond quantum, you know interaction with someone's soul self. when these
Yeah.
things occur. And again, we're still miffed and befuddled every time it happens. And yet it's such a high. It's such a high, but yet it's so calming at the same time. So when you travel the world and do your breath classes and all that stuff, um, is it usually to places where people come specifically for a breath class in this parts of the country? Um, or is it that you have clients that you see on a regular basis when you were traveling, or how does that work for you?
Well, typically when I'm traveling, it's although I might end up someplace and do a spontaneous like breath class or something like that, it's mostly for private clients who are looking for some sort of intensive work. Like they want to clear an addiction or heal from grief of loss of a spouse or a child, or they are stuck in their work and are trying to make a major change in their company or their business, or they want to negotiate a contract and they need certain support. Uh, so I would say that a lot of times it's some sort of profound um, s- physical or emotional transformation that they're looking for. And so it's a little bit more, it's kind of a higher ticket item. You know what I mean? Like these are people who can afford to have somebody with them for days at a time, full
Mm-hmm.
time, to do something to accomplish what could take years in like a weekend, through doing different types of my body work.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you, I feel like you've lived an exotic life. I'm
Mhm.
like, where are you now? Oh, I'm over in Bali, or I'm over here. I'm like, yeah, shut up. I'm still here in Washington, D.C., hanging out with
Yeah.
all the traffic and the energies and trying to anchor myself, much less anchor everybody else. All right, fine.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll get there.
I'm trying and appreciating, the me trying to like be still for a minute. I actually literally got to my house 30 minutes before our call because I had a client
Mhm.
several states away and just got back. But it was it was a serious situation um, where there had been an accident and someone had died,
Mm,
and so it was, just kind of dealing with some of the difficult emotions of
sure.
someone who killed someone, and like wanting to be free of that after carrying it for many years, thinking it was done, but then it was coming up in day-to-day situations, and it can be difficult stuff to handle. So, and it's just profound what the depth of pain that we can handle in a quite a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So, I think we had mission accomplished this weekend. We had a big day yesterday, and it went well.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I think we're in this place right now where people want to break these patterns where they have stuffed so much trauma.
Mhm.
And everyone's, trauma can be interpreted differently. Um, so what might not be trauma to me could be very traumatizing for someone else. And so we have to kind of tiptoe through the trauma and figure out which points and which trigger points would be best to help them start the journey of release. And it's nice that you're able to go and devote a period of time versus someone come to you for an hour, right? And but to be with someone for a period of time and really be there to cradle, hold, support, and help them release whatever it is that no longer needs to be in our real estate. because it's so unhealthy, right? And it's not just the trauma drama from this lifetime, it's from multiple, because I mean, we're handed down generation after generation the traumas. And they even prove that in like the Great Depression. And it goes down, I think it's like 4 generations. People think, oh, I've got a hoard, I can't, I'm not going to have enough, right?
Yeah.
And so just imagine, you know, what you're holding, not only with what you're personally experiencing, but the lineage before you and before that, before that, before that, along with all the other energetic collective shit that we pick up through our antenna of life. Um, we could be picking up portions of someone else's trauma that relates a little bit to ours, and then we build upon that. So for you to be able to step in there and spend 28, 48, 72 plus hours with someone, I just think that is such an amazing blessing. So thank you for doing that work. I know it's not easy, because you really got to hold that space in a sacred way.
It is it is a unique thing
Mm-hmm.
to be able to spend that period of time with someone and to do so in a healthy way with boundaries and it's a lot of energy moving in a very short period of time. So it's there's it's a it's a skill that's taken a little bit of trial and error, and I would say that all the trainings and all the and ethics classes and doing work where it's important to have certain boundaries has all been really helpful with that work. And there was something you said I wanted to address. Well, well, hopefully it'll come back.
That's all right. I think we're in this place and space right now where energy and time is on a whole different level. And so some of the things that float into our mind or to-do list disappear as quickly as they get there. And it's not because anything's wrong with us, it's just the way the energy is moving right now. And as electromagnetic beings, we are highly affected and moved one in one direction or another, sometimes as quickly as we started it. So, well, I wanted to ask, because I know we've got the holidays here, and holidays bring up a lot of emotional trauma. Holidays bring up a lot of angst about financial deliverance and then financial responsibility for all the deliverance we gave. And credit cards are getting hot, you know, and we know what's approaching next month in January when those bills hit us. But we also know we've got to go through seeing family and reliving situations we may not want to relive or go through. And I wanted to see if it would be at all possible, if you were up for, maybe a breath meditation that people could maybe tune into. And then we'll end it there so people can just sort of be in that space. Um, so if you're up for that, I would like to ask our guests who are listening to please pause this portion of the video and wait till you get to a space or a place where you can tune in and quiet and really receive what it is that Ashira is sending out. Because I know I have attended many of her meditations and breath work, and they are quite powerful. So, are you up for that, girlfriend?
Sure.
Yay. All
Yes.
right. So before you hit pause, hit like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss out on any of the Keep It Spiritually Simple podcast episodes, part 1, part 2. We're going to have part 2 with Ashira coming up probably next month. We'll talk about some more things in depth. So in the meantime, pause the video, get to your place where you can be not disturbed. If you have headphones, that's great. If you don't, do not worry about it. But don't listen to this and drive or operate machinery or try to do multitasking because you won't receive in the way that it's intended. So, thank you everyone for tuning in to Keep It Spiritually Simple. And we're going to get straight into the breath and meditation.
Sandy, how long would you like? 2, 3, 5 minutes?
Let's do between 3 to 5.
Okay. All right. So you're just in the moment, you're tuning in and you're feeling your whole self right here, right now, in present time, where you're seated or perhaps you're walking in nature. But most of you are likely sitting and relaxing and just feel your whole self, whatever support is against your back, your butt in the seat, and begin to tune into your breath. And maybe pull a few long, slow, deep breaths in through the nose and just kind of sigh that out the mouth, breathing in and just sighing that out. That audible sigh will begin to vibrate the vagus nerve and communicate directly to your system. It's safe to relax. And then let's take in through the nose, a breathing in, 2, 3, and out the nose or mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and back in, 2, 3. And as you exhale, imagine the breath leaving your body, breathing in, visualizing that breath coming in through the nose, down into the heart. And now we're exhaling nose or mouth, and we're doing so a little bit longer than we inhaled. And we're breathing in, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rolling back into the inhale, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing in, slow and aware, feeling the back body expand. Hold the breath. And now release slow, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. And again, exhaling slowly for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Let's hold the breath, 2, 3, 4. And now let's exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Last time, breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Now breathe in, fill up all the way around like there's an inner tube around your chest, around your waist, and then hold the breath. Sip in a little bit more air. Holding, and I want you to hold till you feel that little kick, and that's the brain, that's the amygdala saying, hey, hey, we got to breathe. But actually, we don't have to quite yet. That's just a warning system. You could be here 5, 10 minutes and be perfectly fine. And when you feel that kick, just relax your body and then exhale slow and long, slow and long, slow and long. When you're done exhaling all the breath that you can, just relax and let the breath be natural. Feel that in the body. And let me just let you know, as you just continue to notice your breath here, anytime you elongate the exhale longer than the inhale, you are communicating safety to the body. It's going to help clear your mind. So if you're feeling a little chaotic or out of alignment, take some breaths through the nose and out the nose or mouth and elongate that exhale. And that's going to be a natural way to help reduce anxiety, clear your mind, and get you more in alignment with what's going on. I want to remind you that through this breath, we actually did do that in the beginning. We inhaled just several counts and then we exhaled 2 or 3 times that. And then we also did some box breathing with some breath retention. Box breathing is like we did in 4, hold 4, out 4, hold 4. That's another way to reduce stress or anxiety. And then we did a little bit of breath retention with some of those long holds and long exhales again with just a little bit different style. So thanks for being here. Thank you, Sandy. If you want to see, sometimes I have things that I'm doing up on my website, mindbodyfusion.com, mindbodyfusion.com. And then also occasionally will teach classes or do some work over at Bethesda Salt Cave. And maybe I'm traveling to a city near you soon.
Oh
Thank
my
you,
gosh.
Sandy.
Thank you, Ashira. I had to take the mic and put it off because, I do such a loud exhale. I didn't mess up anybody's breathing. So I put myself on silent, on mute. So that's really powerful. I so appreciate you. And I will have your links in the description for those who would like to follow you or figure out where you are or would like a session. So everybody, let's say goodbye to Ashira. Bye, Ashira.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Love you, sister.
Love you.